Janelle's read Yaya, and this play has a sequence of scenes plus a few aftershocks. It's interesting when you add the element of the aftershocks too. It breaks from the structure of the play. Speak about that element to it and why you decided to go with that.
Well, this play's the most direct play that's like is the Medine play, because just like with Medine, the Medine play has a repetition of scenes that then go on further on. With this play, I do a similar thing in that Janelle has a series of scenes where we get further along. The play opens up basically with this Danny carrying this woman into a bedroom as they're making out, throws her on the bed, and then the play ends the scene ends at various points going on. First, discovering that she has a heart-shaped bed. Then, in the canopy of the bed, she has mirrors to watch herself having sex with guys. Then that she's videotaping guys, and Danny discovers this. And so the aftershocks, after the last big scene where we get the discovery, the aftershocks come, and they're sort of little sort of just blackout scenes to sort of contextualize the rest of it.
Yeah, Danny is incensed too over that camera. But we'll get to that in a moment. The aftershocks almost read sort of like bloopers in a film.
Yeah.
The main crux of the narrative, though, is it goes from scene 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Mm-hmm. Is this encounter with Danny and Janelle. They're self-contained little dramas, but you later find out that there's more in scene 3 or more in scene 5. How do you think this could even be staged?
Well, that's a good point. I mentioned the Medine. In the Medine scenes are the exact same thing up to the point where they end, and then we get add-ons. Here, there's difference. So this would be one of the most difficult plays for an actor to do, because they'd have to remember, because even though, like I said, every other scene, there's like 6 major scenes of the sexual aspects in the apartment. Wherever they end, let's say if they ended at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 minutes each scene, those scenes are different. Those first 5 minutes, so the 5-minute first scene, those first 5 minutes carried over 4 scenes or 4 versions later is slightly different. And that is to give the sense of the disorientation of the scene, especially from Danny's supposed remembrance of the scene, because Danny is presumably the author of this play, and he's remembering the scene. But every time he tells it, presumably, and we could imagine that each of the way those scenes are out is Danny at future points in his life telling that scene up to a certain point. So he's going to be misremembering or inserting some things, deleting some things, and that's very similar to Bit in Lit, the Bit of Lit chapter in A Norwegian in the Family, where every time Bit goes back, or every time Dennis Hopper slips in his urine and falls down the 6,800 story building, there's slight differences. And so, yeah, this would absolutely be a nightmare. It's probably the closest to an unstageable play in a sense. Although if you could have some really great actors, they could probably get some prompts, and it would be like remembering separate playlists. And you'd have to have, though, really, really highly trained actors to do that.
The director could also probably play with it too if they wanted to, say, release an abridged version of this play to get some of the other elements of it in there. Get the audience out in 2 hours rather than 5.
Yeah. I mean, the play went on 5 hours. It's like 37,000 words, so it's probably about a 2.5 to 3 hour play. And this again was based on a real life incident. I think I don't know if I ever wrote a version of it in the true life, but it's based upon a woman that I did work with, and I did. And I say the Danny Wagner character says in the play, it's ironic because if they hadn't gone back to her apartment, if they had, because they're coming from, say, like a Christmas or New Year's, office party, and if they had just gone to a motel near work, they would have done the act. But because she wanted to go back to the apartment, presumably to film them, it ended up kiboshing everything because Danny wasn't going to end up, in some secret porno.
I also think there's some parallels between Janelle and Valerie in The Thing After Death, particularly in the end. But I'll get to that in a moment. Do you remember some of the central relationships of this play? Janelle has a relationship with a woman named Zoya Jani.
Yeah, Zoya.
And then she also has a hatred for this Filipino former lover of Danny Wagner's nickname Noy.
Yeah.
Or New.
Yeah, Noy. Yeah, well, and Zoya Jani, I gave Wakas, this Pakistani kid who's reading my stuff. I decided to give her a South Asian pal, a Pakistani pal, and again, it's just like the Baba character with her pal. A lot of it's interesting to play on these things because the Zoya character is presumably the Tonto to Janelle's Lone Ranger, or the Robin to her Batman kind of thing. Janelle is clearly the dominant person in their friendship.